Welcome to CJ Moneyway Media, a storytelling platform built brick by brick, where conversations become lessons and experiences become perspective. This is the mindset of a panther, moving with patience, discipline, and purpose. From podcasts to books to media storytelling, CJ Moneyway brings voices, journeys, and real conversations to the forefront. You're now listening to the CJ Moneyway Show.
How you doing, JM?
Hi, how's it going?
It's going all good. It's going all good. Like I say, it's a little gloomy out on both ends today, but we gonna make this happen and we gonna make this work. Hey, so JM, let's get into your storytelling, the origins of your storytelling. When did your love for writing begin, and how did it evolve into fantasy writing?
I started writing 34 years ago. I was very much of an introvert, needed a creative outlet. My mom bought me a typewriter. Yeah, I'm that old. And so
You don't look it. You don't look it. You don't look. You look good. You look good. You look like you're 34, not been doing something for 34.
Well, I'll take that number. I'll be But I started out writing because I needed that outlet, became a hobby, turned into a passion. Now it's just, cheaper than therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd never shared anything. And 2019, I was diagnosed with autism, ADHD. And I thought, maybe this is my special interest. So I got brave and I sent my first book in my series, because I just finished it. I sent it to an editor thinking, okay, the worst they can say is it sucks. And if they do, then I'll know and I'll move on and just write for myself. But they came back and they said, this doesn't suck. You should publish. So 2 years later, I made it happen.
And now you created a whole universe out of what you've done. It's pretty amazing. I didn't want to mess his name up. Is it Callum Walker or Callum Walker?
It's Callum Walker. Yeah.
Callum Walker. Okay. The Callum Walker series. Let's get into it. I want to hear a little bit more about this. So let me ask you, you've spoken openly about your family shared autism and ADHD diagnosis. How has that shaped your creative process?
My creative process was always there, but then it just helped me to open my eyes and see, okay, this is part of me. I've always been an out-of-the-box thinker, very what if. When I started this series, it was a what if fairy tales were more than stories, monsters are real, we just didn't know it kind of thing. And I just sort of ran with it. But I've always been kind of that thinking outside the box, the hows, the whys, the what ifs. And so that didn't change, but it did answer a lot of questions that I had thought for many years. I was an alien dropped off on this planet and somebody was going to come along and knock on the door and say, oops, big mistake. So I understand now why I had trouble with certain situations growing up.
Let me ask you a question. I didn't have this on the list, but because I've had a couple of people come on the show and said that, later on in life that they was diagnosed with ADHD mainly. Yeah. And like you say, they never knew. They knew that something was different about them coming up, but, they never really knew, because back in school, back in our day, they really didn't test for stuff like that. If you just wasn't focused, you were just a kid that had potential, but wasn't using your full potential. Because if it was up to me, I know for sure if they was doing that back when I was in school, JL, I'd have been diagnosed with ADHD and every other thing to come on. So, me and my wife was talking about this not too long ago, because like I said, I've interviewed a few people, with this issue. One guy, he has a successful lumber company, but this guy got like 8 companies, you know what I'm saying? And he didn't get diagnosed with it until he was like 65 years old. He's like 80. But man, this guy, man, I tell everybody, no joke, this man got a body to die for. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? He's stocky and cocky and everything. He say he works out every day. But he didn't find out that, he had this illness until he was 65 years old. So, it's like, it's not no age limit to it. So I wanted to know, how did you feel at the age that you were when you found out about this diagnosis?
I found out after my son was diagnosed. And we were going through the ADOS assessment, which is very in-depth, through a registered psychologist. And they were asking me a lot of questions about him. And it's like, that's the things you look for. Those are the red flags, so to speak, that you're looking for. Because I've done that my whole life. And then I started to think, maybe there's a reason I struggled with certain things. So then 3 months after my son's diagnosis, I went in looking into mine and found out that I also have autism and ADHD. But it was kind of an eye opener, actually. And it gave me permission to not sit there silently and not understand something. I gave myself permission to ask for clarification, like sarcasm, jokes, idioms, those things I struggle with. I can give jokes, I can tell jokes and give sarcasm, but I cannot understand when somebody is being sarcastic to me. So I struggle a lot. And I gave myself permission to ask. But yeah, there are some things that I struggled with when I was a kid that I had to come up with my own strategies. And you're right, unless you're disruptive or you struggle academically or behaviorally, you don't get noticed. And women tend to mask a lot of the symptoms.
Thanks for sharing that. So let me ask you, JM, how do your personal passions like martial art use a kick butter, huh? You like to kick a little butt, huh? You know what I'm saying? They say, don't mess with the ninja. Don't mess with the ninja. Like martial arts and psychology. How did this influence your character development?
Well, I've heard a lot of people go into psychology or develop an interest in psychology because either they themselves or somebody in their family struggle with mental health issues. And I know I've struggled with mental health issues myself. And that was one of the things I was trying to figure out, well, why and how can I help and what can I do about it and stuff. So as far as the psychology goes, I do spend a lot more time trying to focus on character development and making my characters real. Like, you know, they're maybe not the best heroes in the world, but they're real. And you can connect to a real person more than you can a fantasy person.
So let me ask you, because I'm currently working on a project myself that involves writing. So when you put yourself into these characters, do you like really get into it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much fun when you actually put yourself into the life of this character. You know what I'm saying? Because now, nobody else know. I would want to know your opinion because you're a successful writer. Because nobody knows the thought process that you're putting into it. You know what I'm saying? The feelings and the emotions that you got going behind each character. And it just lights you up. And you're like, okay. And so you just build it more and more on top of that universe. Tell me how that experience is with you, JM.
I very much try to visualize how would I react in those situations. Not so much that I am my character, but that how would I react in those situations in my character's place, like knowing what they know. But then I had the most fun actually writing my bad guys. I didn't think I would, but I had a lot of fun.
Oh, man. So let's dive into some of this. Inside the world of Callum Walker, the Fractured Field introduces us to a dual realm universe. What inspired the idea of magical wars hidden from human eyes?
I guess that just there's a lot of things that we don't know. There's a lot of things that science can't explain. And what if it's all hidden in this area, the secret realm that we just can't see and we can't reach, but can trickle into our world? And I thought that was really neat for the arc of my series. So my series has Our World, Our Time. That's for my novel. And then there's this, of course, this magical realm. But there's a veil separating us. We can't see or cross it, but they can. And they've been the source of inspiration. They have magic. They can cross this veil. And they've inspired our fairy tales, our legends, our mythologies and stuff. And then my main character, Callum, is just a young man who was born with the ability to use magic. And he doesn't know why. And I mean, it would be pretty confusing and scary to, know that you could use magic and you could do these things. So he's just trying to make the most of it. And he gets embroiled in what's going on in this magical realm. And then through the series, we see him trying to figure out who he is, where he fits in, because he's too magic for here, too human for there, and the master's abilities. I just thought it would be kind of neat. Like, what would we think if there was this secret world that existed with all the answers? Like, this is where the things that go bump in the night exist. So how would we deal with that? And how would we react as people?
Let me ask you, because I just asked Gigi, as we discussed behind stage, that you just did an interview with her not too long ago. And I think she has a series of books as well. And I asked her the question too. When is the time that you like writing the most, where you feel more energetic? Is it when you wake up in the morning? Like, she just told me something that was different. She says normally when she's sleepy and then she starts thinking of ideas and it wakes her up and it rejuvenates her to get into, character mode or whatever. Then she just start writing. She says she vomits words or something like that. I never heard that, but hey, I get it. So what is it with you? How do you get into this deep science fiction type storyteller dealing with another universe? I've
always been able to envision, it's like a video in my head. And if I'm not writing it down, I'm thinking about it. And then I'm afraid I'm going to miss it, not remember it. So I better write it down. So I try to write. I could write morning, noon, and night if somebody would let me. But I'm a mom as well as a wife. And so I've got other responsibilities and stuff. But I usually write in the morning when my kids are at school is the best time, when it's quiet. But I do know, like, I can attest to the fact that sometimes I will get to a point in my story and I'm like, oh, I know they're set up. I don't know what's going to happen. And then it's like the story starts writing itself. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. I want to see where this goes. And I'll go off on a tangent and I'll stop and I'll be like, some of these scenes are the best scenes I've gotten the most compliments on. And other times, and this is why I won't write horror. I don't write too much horror in the dark rooms at night, because I will have to stop and question my sanity, because I'm like, okay, I know that was like a creative muse and all that, but that came out of my head. It's a little scary.
Hey, you say that's a little scary. I'm listening to you already talking about the magical world and Caleb go over here and they got powers to get over to this way. Hey, you already go deep, JM. You already deep in your head. So, hey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd never sleep. So I can attest to that.
Oh, man. So tell us about Caleb. What makes him a different kind of monogamist?
So he would just love to be a normal, ordinary guy. He's very conservative, very serious, takes his responsibilities to heart. He's also got a little bit, as we see him through the series, especially in book 3, when I'm introducing him to another character named Jax, we see that he can be very sarcastic and he has a bit of a joking side, but it takes a bit to get that out of him. But he would really just love to be a normal guy. He would give up his magic if it meant that he could live a normal life, but he can't. So he feels that he's been granted these gifts for a reason. He must make use of them. And he kind of goes with that mentality walking forward, entering, whatever challenge kind of presents himself. He also has the saying that if you didn't have bad luck, you'd have no luck. And he's a bad luck magnet.
This episode is brought to you by CJ Moneyway Media, where podcast ideas become platforms. Through the Moneyway Lab Masterclass, CJ shares real lessons from the lab for creators building their voices brick by brick. From powerful guest conversations to storytelling that inspires growth. CJ Moneyway Media is about one thing, building legacy through stories. Learn more at cjmoneyway.com.
Music style.
Now, I don't know the full scope of your story or whatnot, but it sounds like Caleb is a little like you say, sarcastic. He takes some certain things, you know what I'm saying, but didn't understand certain things. But he had to move on and get to where he got to go. Let me ask you. Now, I'm not going to try to pronounce these names that you got here. I'll let you do that yourself. The gods and the queens of your world are complex. How do you balance light and darkness in your characters?
I'm trying to keep in mind that, like, every single character, even if they're the baddest bad guy out there, they didn't start out as a bad guy. They started out as a baby, became a toddler. Maybe something influenced them in their life. And I wanted to try to get in touch with all of that. So to see it, bad guy or villain, they're varied. They have their different motivations. They have their different reasons. They have causes, and they're not dumb either. So I kind of trying to keep all of that in mind when I'm writing my bad guys. Where are they coming from? And are they redeemable?
So give us a little take on Esme. Is that how you pronounce it? Esme? Yep. Thela?
Yes, Esme is, so she shows up, we see her in the first book, and not to give too much away, I set her up to kind of have, she's got some secretive agenda. She's kind of on the narcissistic spectrum. She's thinking about herself and how she can prosper. But it's because she grew up in a patriarchal society. Her father was king before her, and her father had this massive reputation, and she's been wanting to live up to his image. And that's what started her on this journey.
What about this one character that you have, the Geron? Dergeron.
Oh, the Dergeron. The Degaran, sorry.
Okay.
There's an apostrophe in there. I know it's
that's a Canada word right there,
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm even saying it correct.
Oh, man.
Actually, I believe it's like a Norse term. And, there's different bands of elves. Just like fairies, you have different bands of fairies. You have the Seelie fairies, you have the Unseelie fairies. Well, elves are the same way. And I think that that's pretty typical of most people's, especially with the elves. So Callum has been introduced to these northern elves, and they're not all good, but they're on the gooder side, if that's a word that I can use. Whereas there's a history between the northern elves and these Daguerreans, which are southern. Basically, they're cousins of them. They've been changed because of their affinity for dark magic. They've been changed, and there's a history between them, a contention between them. And for the most part, they've left them alone. But then when things change in the Elven kingdom and rulership changes and such, they're trying to leer their ugly little heads and cause problems again. They've got plans as well.
Jennifer, I know you said that you don't do horror because you have to wake up like, hey, they come out of my head. They came out of my head. Hey, JM, you got a lot of stuff that comes out of their head.
Yeah. That's why I say if I didn't write it down, I wouldn't sleep.
Oh, man. So let me ask you, themes and takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
Many of your characters are trapped, misunderstood, or underestimated. Mm-hmm. Was that the intention as a metaphor, or was it another type of experience?
I actually had a reader pointed out to me that a lot of my character arcs and my series arc in general, trying to figure out with Callum trying to figure out his place in the world, it kind of mirrors my own struggles with autism and ADHD and trying to figure out my place in the world as well.
I think I just said something like that myself, didn't I? Before we even got to that question, like you say, like you related, you know what I'm saying, to Caleb. Like I said, I don't know the whole backdrop, but it sounds like you went into that mindset, like I'm gonna make Callum Walker my what we call it, where you have a double. I forgot what they call it. They used to have it on the story. Okay. So you too young to know about all my children and things like that. Split personality. They had a split personality.
Yeah. Well, I would say that I'm not my main character, but it's really hard to write without putting aspects of your personality into a character. So I am not my character, but every single character I write has little bits of me in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. Like, it's something about you that's in that character. Not, of course, I know that you're not Callum Walker. You made a man version, you know what I'm saying, to divert it and move on. But, it's cool the way that you're telling your story. So let me ask you, what roles does redemption and identity play in the conversion?
Oh, in the conversion, it's a matter of him having to accept his place. And it's a lot of acceptance as a theme in that book, doing the right thing and choosing to do the right thing, not running away from it, because he starts out trying to just escape this. And, he's been through HE double hockey sticks in the first book. So, in the second book, he would just love to get back to some sort of semblance of normalcy. And he gets drawn back into this epic battle between good and evil. And he's just sort of a puppet caught on dangling from the strings. So he's trying to escape and he can't. But once he realizes that this is bigger than him, he can't escape, he needs to do this. Then things get a lot easier for him, sort of.
Yeah, it sounds like Caleb got a long road to go. So let me ask you, you're building a whole series. Mm-hmm. What's next in the Callum Walker universe?
So my fourth book is coming out June 1st, and it's a continuation of his journey. And we see a little bit more of the Daguerrean, the Southern Elves, and we learn more about them. We learn more about the relationship between Jax and Callum. We see Callum kind of healing or trying to heal from his adventures and ordeals that he's had in the first 3 books. But at the same time, he also falls in love in the fourth book.
Romantic, huh? Callum was looking for some love.
Been pursuing, like, he's been lonely his whole life. He's, he wants to have friends. He wants to have family. And so this is kind of too good to be true thing, kind of for him. Yeah,
I tell you one thing, whoever that woman is better watch out, because Caleb has been on different universes and everything else. If he ain't had no woman, hey, she gonna be in love. I tell you that. You're gonna have to give us the sequel to Caleb Love Affair.
Yes, so, I am working on the 5th book, but I mean, he's been through lots, but who's to say she hasn't? I do tend to write very strong female characters, so.
No. I'm not talking about the character. I'm talking about as a man who has been with a woman on all these different universes.
Yes.
JM, you know how you say you're a wife and you got a wife duties and things like that? That's what I'm talking about, JM. They better watch
Yes.
out for. And so
Yes.
how can educators, parents, or young readers find encouragement through your work?
I do tend to put in wholesome messages. I do tend to try to lace those throughout, just, life lessons and such, just to try to teach you things from a different perspective without like bashing you over the head with a board, like, wholesome message, learn this. So I like to put those in situational wise. I'm a very big fan of parables. I like to teach I homeschooled my kids for quite a few years, and I like to teach them by using stories, examples, and such.
Yeah, I like parables.
Yeah.
I love, especially in the Bible. That's how he taught, you know what I'm saying, in parables. And so that was my last question, but I do have a quick fire round game that has become a fan favorite and also a guest favorite. Many have stumbled, but my last 3 has actually passed with flying colors. I'm going to ask you a question and you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. JM, I know that you're going to pass this with flying colors.
Okay. No pressure there.
No pressure. That's how I like it. No pressure. That's why I'll tell you guys to the end. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Favorite fantasy author growing up?
Ooh, J.R.R. Tolkien.
See, we're on the right track already. Most surprising thing you've learned about yourself while writing?
I spent a lot of time looking at the eyes, and I didn't realize how much time I spent focusing on eyes.
What kind of eyes, Jay?
Like gazing, looking, peering, glancing, a lot of expression through the eyes. And I know that I focused a lot on eyes, but I didn't realize why. And now I do.
Because everything is in the eyes. You can be attracted or drawn to somebody through the eyes. It depends on the color and things of that nature. So, yeah, I get it. I get you. Okay. One character you'll love to trade places with for a day.
I would love to trade places with my one character. His name is Agus. He's a very interesting introverted character, and I empathize with him a lot more than I do most of my characters. He would be my epitome of like an autistic character.
Okay. Coffee or tea while writing? I'll say no equivalent, no doubt. Coffee. You ain't even got to say nothing else.
I don't like the sugary stuff. I don't need all that. Just simple coffee, cream. Got to have caffeine in it, though. Decaf is just fake.
No wonder you come up with all these thoughts. You don't put no sugar. You just drink it straight just with a little cream, creamer.
Actually, I don't put cream in it. I put almond milk in it because I can't handle milk.
Ooh-wee. That's some strong stuff right there. Okay, you might get this bing, bing, bing. One more. Best writing advice you've ever received?
It's not a race. It's a marathon. Keep going. Eventually, you'll get to the finish line. If you stop, you'll never reach it.
Ding, 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 ding. See, that wasn't pressure. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of easy. You flew through that like that wasn't nothing, JM. So, where can we find your books? And where can we find you on social media?
Yeah, so the best place to look is my website. It's jmshawauthor.com. On the bottom of my page, you can find my Instagram, my Facebook. You can find me on Goodreads. I have tabs with all of my books, and there's links to them online. They're available as a print on Amazon. They're on Kindle, Kobo. They're on ebook and Barnes & Noble. At least the first 2. The second 2 will be there soon. Yeah, that's the best place to find me, is to go to my website. So all of it's there.
All right. She says she's not hard to find. International writer here with her Callum Walker series. So from the underground battles, J.M. Shaw has created more than just stories. She's built bridges between worlds for both fantasy lovers and those discovering their own inner light. And you got to check out her new book because my man Callum finds a love interest. I want to see how that's going to turn out. Make sure to follow her at JMSHAW author and check out her Callum Walker series wherever books are sold. To my audience, thank you for tuning in. JM, thank you for showing us how embracing every part of ourselves, especially the misunderstood parts, can lead us to our most powerful work. Thank you for tuning in today. Hey, you have been listening to the CJ Moneyway Show with J.M. Shaw, all the way from Alberta, Canada. Go Blue Jays. All right, we out of here, peace.
You've been listening to the CJ Moneyway Show. With real stories, real lessons, yeah, and real perspective come together. Remember, move with patience, move with purpose. That is the mindset of a panther. Until next time, keep building your legacy, brick by brick by brick by brick.
Music style.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.